You are staying with us. Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Gvir, is vowing to fight the current ceasefire and hostage release deal, calling it reckless and a threat to Israel's chances for victory in Gaza. Speaking to Khan public broadcaster, Gvir urged Finance Minister Smotrich to join him in voting against the agreement, saying their parties were elected to resist what he called a surrender to Hamas. He warned that halting the war would be dangerous, arguing that Hamas would not respond peacefully, noting in his words, they won't be handing out flowers if we stop now. Gvir also slammed the decision to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, calling it a giant mistake and saying he was embarrassed to be the only cabinet member who voted against it. He stressed that Israel has a historic opportunity to defeat Hamas and that military pressure must continue uninterrupted to achieve that goal. We're once again joined by Shruti Dasgupta to discuss this story coming out of Israel. Shruti, Gvir is part of Netanyahu's government, a coalition which is holding Netanyahu's fragile coalition together. Does this fierce opposition show deep cracks within Israel's war cabinet, and could it derail the ceasefire altogether? And some critics would say that Netanyahu has self-interest in keeping this coalition together and then so for keeping this war going. What are your thoughts?
There are 2 points of Netanyahu holding on to power right now. Netanyahu has divided people inside his own nation. Some of them do not support this war anymore, at least this prolonged version of this war, because it does exact a very high cost in terms of manpower, resources, as well as economy from the nation. So many people believe he is trying to continue the war so that he retains power. Elections again have not been reheld since the war with Gaza has begun. So a large section of politicians as well as their supporters feel that this continuing a conflict with Gaza is a way for Netanyahu to stay in power. Contrarily, I would also like to point out that Hamas has historically proven that any breathing space given to them is a way of consolidating their resources and planning the next attack on Israel. And each subsequent attack has been more brutal, more dehumanizing, and has exacted a much higher price in life than Israel is prepared to pay for their mere existence and for the world to have peace. So basically, we have come between a question of power as well on both sides. If the war stops, if it is paused, I am very confident in when I say that that Hamas and Gaza are inseparable from each other. As long as there is a Gaza, there will be a feeling of affiliation towards the Hamas cause. So if a war is brought to a close and the last of Hamas is not wiped out, then there will be a reconsolidation of the force, and they will, if not now, 5 years, 10 years from now, we will be here again on this talking table discussing a similar attack like the October 7th and the others before it. So bringing Hamas down is a very important criteria for the existence of Israel and for peaceful existence of that entire zone of the Arab world. But beyond it, if we look at it from the political point of view, we need to understand that Netanyahu is holding on to power by the bare threads possible, and it is no longer, a war is looked at by most people as his way of holding on to that power. And if the conflict comes to an end and a ceasefire comes through, he will have to hold elections, and there is a large doubt that he may come back to power as an elected head of Israel. So it's a very divided front right now in Israel, I understand it.
Yes, thank you, Shruti Dasgupta, for your insight, as always, on those topics that we covered.